Ladies and gentlemen, it is time. Every fortnight Thursday, you can expect the Grader'S Notes team to assemble, and this Thursday is no different. And as you can see from this thumbnail, Elektra Assassin is on the docket. Baby, Frank Miller, Bill Cincovich. We're going in, man. I'm happy to be back. I had to use a couple sick days. I had to call in a few sick days. Use some PTO that I had saved up from the Grader'S Notes job. Luckily, I got, some good management here that let me slide. But I'm very happy to be back because I never like to miss a show. Now, before we get to the awesome chat that is stacked and jacked and here to take part in the Grader'S Notes process because you're a key component, let's bring the team out, man. First up, let's start out with that. He's pretty much been monikered. Yeah, just as I was about to say it, Simeon took the words right out of my mouth. Is the man who's been called the Canadian curmudgeon himself, Dave, Mr. Miracle. Hey, brother.
The Canadian curmudgeon. I like it. Fits me well.
Hello,
Kenny. Haven't seen you in a month. How you been?
I know, man. I'm okay.
I know. Life has to take precedence over YouTube. It's just part of it. Everybody understands. Glad you're back. Glad we can do the show today. Interesting pick, Mr. Kenny.
Yeah, I thought this might be a fun one to dissect. And let me bring this next guy on because his backstage shenanigans is already making me laugh. Let's bring in the mysterious Genome Presents.
I am Genome Assassin. Ready and willing to grade, but a little off kilter here. There we go. How's everyone doing out there in chat land? Good to see everybody. I noticed the imitable Biggie Shack was in the house. Where's my sign? My sign is here. The ninja greeting is complete. We're here to talk about my sister, brother, and ninja, Elektra herself. So let the games commence.
Nice. Member of the hand, Mr. Genome. And
if I can get my hand.
Last but not least, and like Genome said backstage, sitting upon a throne that befits his station in the Metacliner is Mr. Metarog. Hey, brother.
Hey, guys. Kenny, good to be here, man. So good to have the team all back together, 100%. Ready to come out slugging. I know Genome's there and his ninja. I know it's the ninja brethren, but, we have to take everything. We pull no punches here. We don't care if you're ninja. We don't care if you're, godlike. We're gonna give you the Grader'S Notes treatment. That's what we're here for.
Ain't that the truth? And let's just take some quick attendance and show some love to the chat here. First in the house, the unruly Simeon, the greatest pitch hitter in the game. Good to see you, my friend. The Jackson Roy Kirk, Grader'S Notes stalwart, who revealed to me in a chat the other day, great pick, a book I don't have, Jackson said. Get on that, man.
Speaking of Jackson, let me interject real quick there.
Please.
I got a little something from Jackson here. I don't know what it is yet. I haven't opened it, but I'll record it and put it on the channel in the next few days.
All right.
So thank you, Jackson, whatever this may be.
I hope I'm not spoiling it, Gino, but I got this from Jackson Roy Kirk this week, along with a couple other sweet things. So I guarantee you there's fire in there.
Looks pretty nice, but I don't see any ninjas on there. I'm losing interest rapidly.
Well, they're so surreptitiously hidden, you can't see them, but they're there.
Nice.
First rule of being a ninja: don't talk about being a ninja.
That's right. The one and only NWO New World Order Comics, Biggie Shack. Good to see you, big man. Good to have you with us. Let's cruise on down because I just saw my pal Lasso.
Ryan.
84 time. We just ran a great contest. Which, Lasso, you got to let. I don't know if that guy ever reached out to me or if he reached out to you yet, but a sketch cover of their choosing was part of the prize package there. So if you need to connect us, Lasso, let a brother know. Benny Compton, straight out of Compton. Good to see you, man.
That
Oh yeah, now all the friends are coming out to play now. Mr. John's Comics with Kids, really a pillar of the community at this point. Big John,
Absolutely.
one of the best in the game. Honored to have you stop by, my friend.
John's a
I
good
love Disney and comics. Great to see you as well. Sweet Punisher Mickey Mouse mashup on your profile pic.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a Grader'S Notes chat without the one and only Big Bad Bill, Comic Mag Musings.
Hey, Bill. Double Dave.
All right. Awesome. So, attendance has been taken. The panel is here. We've identified the target, Elektra Assassin #1. I think everyone here knows the drill, so I'm not even going to go through the template of what we're doing. Just buckle up and enjoy the ride. If you're new to it, we're going to prompt you for your grade as we go through. And we usually always start with the cover, And I think for that cover, I think I'm going to start with, I'm going to go in the order in which I brought you guys on the panel and kick it off to my man Miracle. And what's up, Hidden Gem Comics? Thanks for popping in. Let's hear Dave, Mr. Miracle's thoughts on this cover. Floor is yours.
All right, Elektra Assassin #1, all the way back from 1986, right? So one of the first things we notice about this is that it is a Marvel comic, but it's also an Epic comic, right? So Epic was their more adult line, right? There's no comic code authority stuff right here. Automatically, that's telling me with a little combination of Frank Miller, and I'm not seeing that comic code authority, we're going to have some violence here. So that's what the cover tells me right off the top. As for Bill Cincovich's drawing, I am a big fan of Cincovich. I think in 1986, it would have been really tough for me to be a fan. I was pretty young. I didn't quite get it, right? And this cover was really out there, right? This wasn't something that they did. I know he had done a run with, he had done the New Mutants, and I think he got his fingers in there and doing some ROM stuff and stuff like that, some covers. But this was like for him to take on a whole miniseries, this sort of kind of art, this more artistic style was just, it was a bit too shocking for my 13-year-old brain. Would have probably not liked it. Here as an adult, though, I do like it, and I have been a big fan of Cincovich's stuff. I don't think this is one of Bill's best drawings. It's pretty low key. The gun's kind of cool, that big gun, but yeah, I've definitely seen a lot better covers out of Bill. Maybe they didn't want to just hit you over the face with a huge, crazy cover, trying to, not deter anybody from picking up the #1 issue. It is always well rendered. He's got a very unique style, and he fits within that style very well. So, not the most Bill Cincovich painting drawing that I've seen him do, but definitely adequate. Definitely sets you up for what's going to happen inside a little bit. Makes you see, yeah, this is not the normal cover, not the normal sort of art, right? Isn't that the New Mutants guy that was drawing? Anyway, I gave it 3.5, right? Like the cover, but definitely not one of the best covers we've ever had. Definitely not one of Bill Cincovich's best covers of all time either. So 3.5 for me.
3.5. All right. Respectable grade. Well reasoned by Mr. Miracle. Let's go down to the Shaolin Temple of Genome presents. What do you think, man? I think you're muted, my friend.
Sorry, G Ninja approves, but I need to have the screen shared because my book did not arrive on time. I have failed. So there it is in all its splendor. Okay, this cover. What's kind of funny is the last couple shows, it's kind of scary how much Dave and I have agreed on things, but I'm kind of falling right in line with him. It's one thing I really dig about this cover is the lack of line work. There's like no articulation in the knees or the elbows. And normally that kind of thing would bother me, but it actually kind of works. There are some oddities, like how the head looks like connected to the neck and torso, just looks a little off-putting there. And the arm that's holding the gun is a little strange too, but I don't know. I kind of dig the picture. I like the starkness of it, the stark background. The smoke is sweet. That's my favorite part of this cover is the smoke rolling out of that barrel. But and the big gun is very cable-like. I think this is adopted by Liefeld much later on to middling effect. It's just a cool cover, very different than what you would normally see at the time. No big fights. It's not exactly a pose. It looks like she actually just got done doing something, but I don't know. I kind of dig it. It's nothing amazing or mind blowing, but I like the starkness of it. And it would have been very easy also to just throw it on a black cover to make it look more adult and intimidating, but it's not. It's white, so it really gives a nice pop effect to it. So trade dress is all right. Epic banner's okay, I guess. I give it 3.5 as well. It's not. I'm not a huge fan of this style. Maybe more on that later, but I think it's a well done cover for with Barbie arms and legs there that don't bend or anything. It's kind of interesting. So 3.5.
3.5 for Mr. Gino. Roger, if I'm not mistaken, you could use digital aid as well, right?
Yes, that's right. Just leave it up there. That's right.
Got it. Well, the floor is yours.
Okay. I'm not going to rehash a lot. There are a couple things that I really, really dislike, and I think Gino mentioned it. The Liefeld over the top gun. I mean, she would be falling forward, holding that gun that way. I mean, that thing is heavy. I think that, look at this. I like the smoke coming out of the barrel, but it's way over stylized. The Elektra figure I think is excellent. I like the long, linear legs. I like the statuesque kind of pose with the sigh there. And like Gino said, she just got done offing somebody essentially. So I like the character of the cover, but I don't like the concept overall. I think it's way overdone with that gun. She's an assassin, yes, but she's not the Punisher. Okay, she's not gonna go in there and just start raising stuff. She is very, very technical about what she's thinking. She's gonna hide. She's gonna pick her spots unless she's captured. And this just seems to me like it doesn't really fit also the story in this first issue very well. It's supposed to get your attention, and it does that. But I think I just don't like the stylized version of it. I do like his covers very much, but in this particular case, I think the gun really detracts from who she is, especially in this very first issue. So, but I do like the figure a lot. I really do. It's excellent. It sort of gets you ready for for the impact that's coming inside. But I don't like the concept of that. I mean, the stylized gun. It just seems off to me. It just seems cartoonish. So, but being said, it does get the job done, and that Elektra figure is so stunning. I have to give it a 2.5.
2.5.
Yes.
2.5. All right. We've been a little bit. Okay. Well done. Well done. And let me just, if I may, just get that on deck right here. We've got our serviceable of the evening. Okay. Great.
There may be more.
Cool. All right. This cover here. I love the trade dress on this very much. I like the contrast between how the font they use for Elektra and the font they use for Assassin. Great touch. Really am a fan of the trade dress quite a bit. And, I'm not in the club of Bill Cincovich can do no wrong, because I do think that club exists among comic book fans. I'm a fan of his. I appreciate what he does, but I'm not in the Bill does no wrong club. But a lot of the, critiques and shortcomings I think that Bill has in his work, personally, I don't think they apply to this cover. I think this is simplicity, less is more kind of situation. I think it's good for a #1 issue, attention grabbing. I think Roger makes a valid point that you're generally not going to see Elektra with a big old machine gun like this. I think that's true, but what I think it does is a cool imagery of like Beauty and the Beast, you know, and like it's if she was just holding a sword, even if it had like blood on it, I don't think it would have the same impact, the same dichotomy of like beauty and like dangerous as you get. This just that reads immediately. Beauty and damage, destruction, danger with that big old gun. Really well rendered, really cool, stylized. The smoke is a great touch. And I just think it has an iconic feel to it. I think this could be, you know, a billboard image, a poster. I think it's very pop culture, iconic look. I think well done. I think I'm going to grade it a little higher. I don't think it's perfect. You know, it's definitely simple, but again, I think the simplicity works in its favor. And just because there isn't, you know, it isn't his best. It isn't even the best in this series. I don't want to go too overboard with it, but in my book, it deserves a 4. Really well done, very iconic stuff, and it's a 4 for me. Bang.
Nice.
Now, chat.
4.
It is your time to shine. We grade these books from, I guess, potentially 0 or 0.5 through 5. 5 is the best. 0.5 is trash. Increments of 0.5s as you go. And I'm going to prompt you in the chat here to grade this cover. We'd love to have your grades. We'll add them all up, get a nice chat aggregate. Let your voice be heard.
It was interesting that they decided to go with the gigantic gun in this. I mean, you would think that the default would be like a katana or something in their other hand, or her other sai. It's interesting. I wonder if they did that like consciously on purpose. Like maybe he put some sketches out there and it's like, no, let's do something different with this. Everyone's seen her with a sword before. Let's try something else and make her look even more deadly, right?
Yeah, I bet so. I bet that was it. All right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely an interesting choice, that's for sure.
I think he just wanted to fill up some space and put that cool smoke effect there.
I love the smoke effect though.
Yeah, oh, that's cool. Yeah, and that makes because he has that kind of, I don't know what you guys are the artists, but you know that kind of like almost charcoaly kind of depth to his painting there. I think that makes it look all the better. You know, that it's not just, you know, that hard line. It's just sort of, it fluffs like smoke. It looks like smoke. It has good texture, just like smoke.
Yeah. No, he is definitely a fine art painter kind of guy.
And I'll tell you what, when you got that fine art style, I'm not at all surprised to see the kind of disparity of a 4.5 and a 1.5, because it really is like taste, and it's definitely he's one of those artists, that's for sure.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's definitely, you either love him or hate him.
Yeah.
But
And
he's
even
like,
me,
yeah,
I
he's
don't know, like
I
Romita
don't-
Jr. or Texier or something like that. You know, real happier stylized. You know,
I'll tell you what,
like,
it's a risky game if having this be your style, because even me as a fan, and I like it when I think he nails it sometimes, I think he totally misses too. Like I could also give, depending on the piece, I could give one a 4, and I could give another one a 2. Like I think it can be hit or miss.
no, yeah, there's
What's up, Russ?
not so great drawings.
Hey, Russ.
Slim
I like your
comics.
t-shirt, Roger. I like your t-shirt, Roger. Stranger Things.
Stranger Things.
Homage there.
Hello.
Yeah, little homage to Secret Wars 8.
Yep.
isn't everything?
Pretty much.
Seems like it. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna put the
I think the last score I saw was a 1-5, right? Let's
yeah,
see.
we're gonna put like the 10 or 5 second
Mhm.
shot clock here.
The countdown begins.
Or forever hold your peace.
All right, I'm going with it. Let's see.
Okay.
We have a 3 aggregate score for the chat.
Jack Grader 3.
Nice.
All righty.
Seems fair enough.
Got it. Would Super Russ's 4 skew that any higher?
It probably would have, but I'm not doing it all over again. So,
We're gonna say 3, potentially 3.5. And we'll live with that.
that works.
All right. I say, we've been talking about his art. Let's continue the art conversation. I say.
Wait.
Okay.
I think we should discuss the story because it has a lot to do with the art. We should do the story.
There is. I think it has a lot to do with the art as well. But
let's do it. Let's do it.
Sorry, I normally don't interrupt people like that. I just think this one.
No, I don't mind.
But I think we should do the story first.
G Ninja, let's have you kick off the story that we have here.
okay, boy, that's a can of worms to open there.
Would you like this book as a?
Sure. I guess I should have picked something out that was appropriate. Here's a good one. I would call this story, if I had to sum it up in a few words, I would call it the snake pit of the mind. And if you just read this book, and I haven't read any of the other ones actually, you don't know if any of this is happening. This could all be a complete bit of psychosis in her head. Who knows what it is? But this is a fractured story, and man, oh man, this is definitely not for everybody. I'm trying to think of a movie that's even close to an analogy to this, and I can't really think of anything. There's a bit of Stepford Wives thing going on, Naked Weapon going on here, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest kind of thing going on. There, I don't know what Frank was on, man, but it's out there. This book is definitely mature content, and I, believe it or not, found it a trifle upsetting. Just the imagery that was going on there really isn't my cup of tea. It's not the kind of thing people want to think about. But at the same token, we don't know if it's even real. We don't know what she doesn't even know what she believes. It's very, very confusing. It is all over the place, but not necessarily in a bad way. Frank Miller handles it with his usual aplomb, and he makes you kind of want to find out more. As repulsive and vile as some of the subject matter is, there is a nugget of interest there to find out, hey, should I read more to see if she's not a complete loon and this is all in her head, or is there actually something big going on here? You don't know out reading this comic. So, yeah, I won't say that the story was particularly enjoyable. That doesn't make it a badly written thing. And it does make you think. This is not something I want to read a lot of, though. This is not the kind of subject matter I like to engross myself, especially when reading a comic book, especially with the whole idea of incest and stuff that was going on there. That's not my bellwether. But once again, I think it's a pretty well-crafted story. It didn't hit the joy buttons, but at the same token, it was really interesting at points. But the only thing I'm really interested to find out is if any of this is real or not. At the end of the day, that's all I want to find out, because not much else happens in here other than inner monologue backstory. Yeah, man, this is a really hard one to grade, because I can definitely see the quality of the writing. Just because I didn't care for the subject matter doesn't mean it's bad, though, right? So you don't want to put a negative grade on something like that. I'm gonna go with a 3. It's fractured and it's strange, and as upsetting as it is, sometimes you have to get out of your comfort zone when it comes to art. And it's pretty solid, and it had me interested enough probably to read the next issue, if for nothing else, to see if I get any kind of answer, because this book answers nothing at all. So I give it a 3. I really don't know how to rate this thing too well, but maybe you guys can do better at it. I'll go with a 3.
All right. 3 from Mr. Gino. Roger, how do you feel about the story, man?
Well, feel is a good verb for this, because like Genome, it was really disturbing on several levels. And he's right. This is a jumbled mess of a plot, if there is one. It seems like he's in a okay. The best way I can describe this is you're in a fever dream and you're trying to find the ingredients for an assassin. Okay. And that's what this is. I mean, it's done from when she was in the womb until, present day, and with stops, these linear stops of traumas and violence and rape. And like Genome says, it's things that I try to purge from my soul. And Miller is trying to envelop me in it. And it is disturbing. But like Genome says, that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that it's impactful, right? But this is, I don't know what Miller is trying to get at here. Is this a nihilistic view? Is this a satirical view of society? Like Genome says, I'm just trying to figure out what this is. It is all this based upon her delusions in the sanitarium? Or did this really happen? And is this what formed her? Now, Elektra's dead at this point in the Marvel universe, so that we're going back, and this is really not in continuity. So he has a lot of free reign. But honestly, I'm confused about this story to a good degree. Maybe I'm not smart enough. Maybe I'm just not looking deep enough. But it's a very dense, very jumbled mess of a ingredient origin of Elektra. I guess that would be the best way I could describe it. But I'm with Gino. I could give this a 1. I could give this a 5, depending on what perspective I have. But I do want to find out what this is all about. I want to find out, what is this mother's milk that is going on in here? That's, what is this beast? Is this the biblical reference? There's so many questions I have, and there's very few answers. So I guess in that sense, it was effective, but I don't want to work that hard in a comic book story. I don't want to have to, have my brain so intensely focused on every single thing happening, and the art kind of jumbles it even more. But I'll give it a 3 because I do find it interesting, but very disturbing.
All right. Well said. Well said. Couple 3s. Well, man. See, I think the writing, I think Frank Miller wrote to match the art style and approach of Bill Cincovich, I feel like. Because I don't think it's like standard Frank Miller writing to lay out stories like this. I think he's, you got a madman on the 1s and 2s in the art. I mean, this is not your standard, comic book. I mean, just look at the first page. This is not standard from an art perspective. You're not going to get standard linear storytelling. So I think Frank Miller matched that energy. So it's like a chicken or the egg thing. I would be surprised if Frank Miller wrote this script this way, and then it was given to Bill Sienkiewicz and said, okay, draw something for this. Something tells me Bill Sienkiewicz's art loomed a large shadow over how Frank Miller was going to attack this. And I read it as there's definitely some weird, questionable stuff like the mother's milk and the beast stuff, like you're saying. But I took it in as a clever, outside the box, abstract, which you would expect from Bill S., way of telling an origin story. It's like stream of consciousness. There might be some unreliable narrator in it as you go through. And like the art definitely reflects the manic nature of, because the overall plot is, if you were to sum it up as far as what's actually happening, Elektra's imprisoned in some kind of, research torture chamber, perhaps, experiment lab, something or other, and she's just recounting her past as she remembers it. And you're just kind of given her origin story as you go through the mind of a possibly drugged, crazed woman who's captured. So, and there is dark themes in it. Hey, it's epic. It takes a lot to make me blush, brother. I'm here for it. The darker stuff, and I think you can go into dark stuff. I like it best when it's handled smartly or with class or whatever. So if you'll indulge me, I'm just going to read a couple sections here because, like, I forgot that, like, basically pedophilia, child abuse is mentioned in this book, right? But, which I generally don't want to read too much about that. But in the scene where they reveal that happened, you stand over me like a great old tree, Papa, one that has held back the wind for ages and now wobbles, weary. You say your name, your voice is thick. You tell me you love me, your breath smells like wine. You lift the sheet from me and ... I don't find that to be like gratuitous or lowbrow. I feel like that's a pretty kind of poetic way of describing my drunk dad came in and you know what happened. Like, I don't know. I thought it was handled artistically, so I thought it was done pretty well, and I dug it. I was along for the ride. I felt like it matched the energy of the art. It was a bit sporadic. I had to get accustomed to it, no doubt. But once I did, I was strapped in, and I enjoyed it. And I thought Frank Miller really matched the tone of the book, and I graded it quite high. I also gave the writing a 4. I thought he matched the art really well. And it was definitely a dark, intimate portrait of an assassin.
Oh, really?
I did. What say you, the Canadian curmudgeon on the scene? Let's hear what my man Miracle has to say.
No, man, like, you guys focus on the child abuse part, like the sexual abuse, which was a horrible part of the book, obviously. But like, even more shocking to me was like when she was cut out of her dead mother's stomach, right? Like, stuff like that. I was like, yeah, right? Like, there is uber violence throughout the story of this book. It's very chaotic. Like David was saying, Genome, you don't know what's going on at the beginning of this book. You have no idea what's happening. What is happening with Elektra, right? She's in and out of these fantasy world, perhaps real world kind of scenarios. You're not sure if that's real. Different stuff's going on, all this stuff, and it kind of clears itself up until she gets to the point where she remembers that she's been drugged by this the beast milk, right? Has poured this milk and it's caused her to go crazy, and now she's in the nut house. She's in the insane asylum. For some reason he's put her there, right? And I think that was really well played out, because you're confused at what you're reading all the way up until Elektra's not confused anymore. Like, you keep your confusion with her until she starts coming out of it, right? Lots of really, really violent things that are going on in her past, right? Goes through it really quickly. It doesn't get bogged down in this, let's tell every little detail about her old life. I mean, she's like, oh, I'm 15. Oh, I'm 16. Now I'm 19. Now I'm this. Like, she rips through all this stuff, touches on her training and all, the abuse she had at her sensei, not sexual abuse, just physical abuse, and all the stuff that she went through to become a ninja, and his murder. Tons of stuff that goes on in this whole backstory. I think it was really smart of Miller to stay true to his storyline, where he's already killed this character, right? So this is like a story from her past. I'm sure Marvel Comics gave him huge leeway, since he was such a hot writer at the time, and this was going to be a past story. Elektra was already dead, blah, blah, blah. So he got to write a whole bunch of super violent stuff. Would never make it outside of an epic comic. Even in an epic comic, I was like, man, this is pretty much for, yikes for Marvel, that's for sure. But did I like the story? No. right? It's full of tropes, like trope. Let's be in an insane asylum. Let's get away from the insane asylum. Oh, let's have my master stick and a stick. Blah blah blah. This was very very tropish to me. The violence all the time didn't have to be as violent as it was. Like I get it, but it was. I thought a lot of it was like pages and pages. Yeah, we're going through a history, but there was a lot of gratuitous stuff in there. She murders a few people like in her present state of mind, which just tropically, just before they were gonna lobotomize her, she came out of it and killed everybody in the room, right? So that was a big trope at the end that I was like, nah, it's like the clock ticking down for the bomb and it stops at 1, that type of thing. Even the escaping from an insane asylum is tropish in itself, right? Like how many times have we seen that? Batman is known for that, and all those characters. I don't know. I wasn't too happy with the story at all. Definitely, a lot of stuff could have been left out. It was handled pretty good, I guess. I don't know. Has to be some of that editing going on there, pushing Frank back. I'd like to see what the unedited version of this was. Yeah. Anyways, I gave the story a 2. Right? It had a lot of stuff. It was nice to see a bit more of an origin story for Elektra. She is a cool character. Ninja, of course, that's tropish in itself. But the characters were good. There was good dialogue that was going on. Like I said, I like that you're confused until she's not confused. I felt that really helped drive the whole idea of the book behind the book, right? You feel like you're coming out of the stupor as she's coming out of the stupor, like, oh, she's been drugged and she's in this hospital and blah, blah, blah. So 2 for me for the story. Not my favorite story that I've ever read. I'm personally not a huge Miller fan. I do like The Dark Knight Returns. I think that was the best story he ever did. But other than that, I was like, no, I've never been that great. A big fan of his. I don't care if other people are or not, but yeah. So anyway, 2 for me.
A dose from Miracle.
Yeah.
All right. As I suspected, this whole book, stem to stern, is probably going to get some different takes and mixed reactions. Didn't disappoint in that department. Great job, guys. Great insight from everyone. Chat, I'm going to prompt you now, if you're familiar with this story. I'm going to hit you with that, or if not, maybe if you can get a sense from this picture that's been painted for you, let me know what you think grade-wise.
If they do, they're much smarter than I.
Yeah. If you don't think we make sense, just read it for yourself.
Yeah.
And once again, that's probably the writer like showing you the fractured mind. If you don't understand it, like you were saying, she doesn't either. So just not always my cup of tea is in reading.
It might be a testament to my lower IQ that I just didn't overanalyze it. I'm like, okay, that's crazy. All right, that's pretty wild.
That's crazy. Right?
I'm just like, I'm just cruising through it. This is a fever dream, baby. But you're right. If you're looking for real coherence, I understand.
Yeah, this isn't it. So this is definitely not it. This is, as I said, this is a story you have to really work at. You just can't sort of sit back and enjoy it. You have to put on your Grader'S notes goggles times steroids to be able to ferret out what he's trying to get to here.
I don't know. I got it right away. I get it. I just thought it was, like I said, it was just too much. What are we stealing from every 80s action movie? That's like, this, it was just too much going on.
Come on. There was moments where it was like a hardcore version of maybe some tropes. I understand that.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, but definitely shock value here. Like you said, the cutting out. The mother's dead. They cut her out. I mean, there's no doubt that it's justifiable that she is in this state, right? Because of the trauma she's come through, and that comes through in the writing for sure. But maybe I'm just not crazy enough to be able to get that. I'm trying to dig down into it and see, is this her perspective, or is this a delusion, or is this something else?
Yeah,
I think
it's tough to kind of get that at first, right?
And, you know,
sometimes you have to go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say one thing about your boy 84 is, you know, in real life, I'm a gentle flower, you know, but when I'm reading some fiction, I don't mind getting into some extreme violence and trauma, brother. Let's do it. You know, I want to see it on the page or on the screen. You know, so sometimes I like just dipping into the dark side a little bit.
Yeah,
Sometimes I think there was violence just for violence sake in there, though. Shock value for shocking just a little bit because he had free reign completely to do what he wanted. So I think there was a little bit of that in there. You know, something else that no one else mentioned, and I was going to see if anyone else thought the same thing. I think there were some sly references to Clockwork Orange in here with the milk, the whole milk thing, and the ultra violence that was going on afterward. Because that's what they went and drank before they did their carnage. You know,
that sounds like
possibly,
Miller.
yeah, yeah, possibly. I there was one thing I did find funny. That one guy, the Carlos Huevos. That is like Los Huevos, the eggs. Like, and she said that egg beater. Remember that he was an egg beater.
Oh yeah.
So I think he's setting something up there subliminally there. But
I don't know if he is or he's just Miller. I remember this series. He puts in jokes into these things that he thinks is way witty and funny, and they're not. Right? I know there's a character in later issues, a Russian guy, and his last name is Jackoff. Right? Like that's the kind of the dumb shit you get from Miller all the time.
Yep.
What I will say about this kind of story and this kind of writing is what I think made it enjoyable and digestible for me is he, for the most part, he kept it pretty sparse. You know, like if it was walls of dialogue, if he did like Chris Claremont style of this kind of content, I would tap out early. But I felt like it was just enough, pretty sparse throughout the book. So like, I felt like it kept it compelling.
Yeah, I didn't feel bogged down by the writing. Like there was some good movement to the writing. A lot of it, I'm just like, man, copycat.
it was foreseeable. It was foreseeable though. You knew she was going to get out of there. You knew that was.
Yeah, of course. They always get out of the.
Just waiting for that conclusion.
There's 7 more issues. We knew she's getting out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, our limited series 1.
All right. What's the damage there?
all right.
What's the damage, Gino?
And I mean that literally.
You know, the other thing too, the scrambled eggs is another term for lobotomized too. So that's probably where he was throwing that in there.
Maybe.
So it comes out to isn't this like opportune? A 3.3333333333. So half of 666 here with the beast again. I don't know what's going on.
3.5.
So 3.5.
Yeah. If it's more than 3.25, I think we round up.
Yep.
All right. Now, it's time for the halftime show.
Yay!
Let's get the cheerleaders out. Let's go.
All right.
We are going to, Meteorog, take the floor for our halftime show. The floor is yours, my friend.
All right. So in 2 weeks, Grader'S going to be on my channel. So we figure instead of waiting till the end where, you guys are dreary-eyed and you're ready to go to another channel to see what's going on, we'd ask you to pick which comic you want to see in 2 weeks. So I had 3. I had Tiger Man and these 2, and my esteemed colleagues broke it down to these 2. Okay. Spectre number 1, Tom Mandrake. Look at that cover. Huh? Isn't that something? Or the very famous Marvel premiere number 32 with Monarch Starstalker. Yes, that icon that nobody has ever heard of, and as far as I know, it appeared nowhere else. Maybe in a backup somewhere or something, but that's about it.
Had his lunchbox as a kid.
So please pick Spectre or Monarch. See what you want for next week. Notice that I'm not picking any big keys or anything. We're picking stuff that, the run-of-the-mill filler stuff that anybody can pick up for a couple bucks.
Two fun picks that I haven't read personally, so I'll
I
be
haven't either.
Okay. think we're getting some votes in, so you can make us 4 again there, Kenny. I think everybody has seen it.
And then there were 4.
Okay, let's disassemble Voltron back to. Oh, is that Howard Chaykin on Marvel Premiere?
It is on the Monarch. Yes. At least I'm pretty sure it is. Let me take a peek inside. I haven't read this thing since the late 70s, early 80s. It certainly looks like Chaykin.
Yeah.
Yep. Art and story, Howard Chaykin.
All right, double duties by Chaykin. Oh, is the Spectre glow in the dark? Says Slim.
Yeah, correct.
Oh, that's points right there.
That'll be fun for the concept.
Glow in the dark. I love glow in the dark comics.
Didn't Ghost Rider have one of those?
Yes, number
Mhm.
15.
Yep.
It's been a few.
I don't know if this is going to work this way, but supposedly it is glow in the dark, but it has to be like really dark, and I can't.
If you have
that-
a black light or UV light, it'll charge it like in 2 seconds.
Oh yeah, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, anyway, take my word for it.
Yeah.
Or take Slim. Is it Slim who said that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he has it. I remember him seeing it on his channel. But I really do think this is a really cool cover, though. But anyway, we'll see. All right. So what is Genome? Are you taking roll there? See who pick what?
For my eye,
Yeah.
I'm in 3 versus 2 with Monarch Starstalker in the lead, I believe.
All right.
Get your votes in quickly, people.
10 second warning here.
Yeah.
If anybody wants Spectre. Yeah, I do not have a black light in the other room, Jackson Roy Kirk.
You are in South Florida, aren't you?
Yeah. No, I'm in North Florida. I'm in very rural area here. All right.
Well, that's the best place to do it. Oh, never mind.
Oh my gosh. All right, looks like Monarch do it. So 2 weeks. This has got to be dollar bin stuff. Okay, there's no way that this costs more than a couple bucks.
Yeah. I looked it up earlier. It's a couple bucks.
Yeah.
Man, I wanted to do Spectre too, but that's all right. G Ninja is not approved.
Well, good thing we're far away from you. All right, let's continue again.
Jackson says, we don't know the pain we're about to endure. Okay. Thank you for that halftime show, Roger.
Got it.
We're going to jump back into our grading duties, and this time on the interior art of Bill Cincovich. And I'm going to keep the order going, and I'm actually going to kick it back to Roger. I'll pull up the digital assistants here.
Okay. All right. Let me just say this because, I have a lot of respect for Cincovich. I think he's much better as a cover artist than a storytelling artist. Okay. Let me put that out right up front. Okay. I am not big on this expressionist kind of art. All right. I guess that's what I'm saying. But I am not blind to the fact that this is a well-crafted artistic book, right? If you look at the beginning, this is really cool. Look right at the beginning when Elektra is relating the story of the attack on her mother and her dad, and you can see that it's drawn like a little kid would draw. Look in the margin there; it says "Dada" or something like that. It's really cool the way he's channeling her perspective in the art. Okay, and obviously the dark shades there where it's gray, you can tell that's when she's supposedly more lucid or in the present. And then that if you keep going, Kenny, where the scene where notice the crying there of the guy with the handlebar mustache that sort of she attributes to her father or a father figure.
Looks like her father's Stalin.
Yeah, it looks like Stalin, correct. And very moody, very, Gothic almost there, sanitarium or whatever that is. And then you look at that next page with the blue. Look at the eyes. Look at her eyes there. you know, like a kid, like knowing that something's going to occur, you know, so innocent at that point, and yet that innocence was stolen. And I think he brings that out. That again, the expressionist is a very emotional type of art, so I get that. Let's go past that. That's very disturbing stuff up there. But this is what I have trouble with, right? Is that the art is so undefined, right? It's so amorphic in so many ways that I find it hard to follow the story sometimes. The story is chaotic enough and the art sort of complements it, but chaos and chaos makes more chaos, not less, not a more coherent story element, shall we say, right? Now, there is good stuff here, though, really good stuff. If you go, keep going back up, yeah, there, that where she's training in the snow, right? And notice at the end, yeah, right there. Notice again, we have the blue of she's bald, but she still has that blue, the shine that she calls. Then keep going down. I'm getting to my end here. At the end, when she falls off that mountain, you know, she blends into. Notice her white gi there, and then she disappears. Again, a portent of the ninja skills that she has. Really well done there in that sequential way. And then his illustration of the beast, whether it's allegorical or whether that is actually how he is, I think is very impactful, right? Notice the colors there, the red and the green when we have the turtle versus the rat, okay, to sort of show the starkness of the different I guess ideologies there. Here we have that kind of like the ring look, you know, that crazed, you know, she says what she calls it, the black whatever.
Yeah, the globes. Yeah,
the globe, yeah, the black
globes.
globe. You know, look at the crazed look she has there. Like you can tell, like, you know, she's partially at least lucid and coming up with some kind of plan there. But again, I may be jumping around. That's because the story is so chaotic. But I'll end with this. I think the beast, the way that he portrays the beast there. Notice the little figure of the father again, or the Stalin, or whatever that is. And then you have the beast. That is well done, whether that's allegorical or whether that's actual. It's impactful. It's stark. It's sort of memorable. So he does have really good elements thrown throughout. But I guess it's a stylized thing. It's an opinion thing. To me, this is not the type of art that I generally like in a comic because it doesn't give me a lot of detail to complement the story, especially something like this. You guys are probably going to go the other way. I get that totally. But to me, I'm just not big on the expressionism. That being said, I still think high marks for the concept, how he evolved the art. I think that's good, great stuff. I just don't like the non-detail of it, but I give it a 3. I think it's still better than average, even with all those faults.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Great insight from Meta Rob. Straight from the Meta Kleiner. All right, I'm up to bat here.
You are too.
Let's see. All right, man. One thing I gotta say up front about this style of art is because spoiler alert, I am gonna have a lot of favorable things to say about a lot of what's going on here. But the thing that sometimes can happen with this impressionist, high style, highbrow art is sometimes if anyone sees a comic book cover or a comic book piece and a guy's scratchy with his lines and uses watercolors, they're like, oh, wow, look how highbrow that is. No. Sometimes I think it can be used as a crutch or a shortcut to be like, I'm going to make this thing fast and loose and I'm going to be a genius. That's why I'm generally not a fan of impressionist art, like paintings and stuff. I prefer, I don't care what impressionist guy you have. I don't care what he does. It's not going to be better than a Renaissance, the detail of a Renaissance painting. I don't care how creative you are. I just hold merit in in that. Now, I definitely appreciate it in the comic book medium. It's great. The marks down that I give on Cincovich when he's doing interior stuff is sometimes I do feel like there are some lazy panels. I do. I think conceptually he is strong. He's always strong conceptually when he plans to attack a page. But for example, when like the girls are sitting at the table, I think he could still get the same style across, but be a little more, he could render it a little better. And sometimes panels will happen where I'm like, man, you did that real fast and loose, and I think tightening it up would even help assist his style better. Because one thing you got to know with Cincovich is it's definitely all intentional. Because he's got classic chops. All you got to read is his Moon Knight Marvel Premiere stuff. His old school Moon Knight stuff is your tried and true comic book artist, the same pencil and inks that you would expect to see from any other lunch pail artist. So it's not that he's not able to. Seems to me like he mastered that first and then decided to get into this. So I know he is able to. So I know it's all decisions he's making. Now, with all that being said, man, I dig it. For the kind of story you're telling, the manic thoughts of a woman who's recounting her past. Is it reliable? Is it not? Totally agree on its childlike, simplistic art intentionally because it's from her perspective as a child. I think that's pretty brilliant. I think every time he's drawing Elektra in real time in the madhouse, the way he draws her like a ghost, pale, dark under the eyes, looking uniform, just like every other girl in the madhouse, is awesome. Dark, seedy tone, really cool. I think this might be like, what do you call it, decoupage or something? Like, it seems to me like those are actual, what do you call it? Lily?
Doilies.
Doilies.
Yeah.
I think that mofo scanned doilies onto the comic Bristol board. I really do. So, and I wouldn't put it past him to do that kind of stuff. Multimedia stuff is, I think, in his wheelhouse. He's super versatile. I think switching up the color palettes between memory and real time is off. The color tone when he switches to the training in the snow-covered Alps or wherever. I think that's killer, man. I guess you got to know what you're signing up for, I guess. Disappearing into the snow, dang. Really good stuff. Really good stuff.
Agreed.
But, I do think sometimes, like this will be a page that I would critique a little bit of this center page guy. I don't know if he needs to be drawn that abstract to get the point across. Like, that side panel is pretty sick. He definitely breaks a lot of the rules. Like, usually getting too creative with panel stuff is a no-no for me. But, I think considering the art style, like, these eye panels might be my favorite. Really well done. My favorite panel's got to be this one. When he reveals the beast, that is like poster worthy. That's comic book cover worthy. That is so nasty. But it's fast and loose. It's a little everywhere. I do think this, I do sometimes think he takes like some panels off. I really do. Like, I know this is a memory and we should go into like, there's no excuse to draw it that simplistic, because this is adult Elektra's memory, right? I could get it when she's a little kid. We're gonna draw stuff really simplistic. That's adult Elektra. She's already an assassin. I think we can tighten that up a little bit. I think that's kind of taking that panel off a bit, if you ask me. I think he's capable of better. I know he's going. It's intentional, so it's not like it's not a critique of his skill. I think he's capable to do it, but he's made. I guess I would just say I don't agree with some of the decisions he makes on some panels like that. But overall, man, you'd be hard pressed to find a more creative. Oh no, thankfully this isn't like a 9A. It's got some ticks and stuff. But you're gonna be hard pressed to find a more creatively illustrated comic. I think it matches the tone, the story of it. Yeah, so overall, I dug it. Very interesting book. For the inside art, I was toggling between a 3.5 and a 4. But, I don't think I'm going to go as high as a 4. I think I'm going to hit it with a 3.5 for the inside art. I appreciate what he's doing. I dig it. But I think he cuts. I'd like him to see him tighten up some panels. I think he takes some panels off. So 3.5 from me.
Nice.
There you go.
Mr. Man, what's up, Bear Island Comics? Great to see you.
Hey, Bear.
Hey,
And relatively relaxing. And that's right. Take a drink. I did drop that book.
is that a drinking game?
Mr. Miracle, floor is yours, man.
All right. Interior art. Now, I quite like the interior art of this book. I definitely see how Cincovich is drawing to Miller's writing here. I was talking earlier about like the murdered mom, and then she's getting cut out of the kid, but the way Cincovich handles this, he doesn't actually show it, but he does show it with like her having, some weird sketchy flashback stuff. So I like the way he handles the violence artistically. He's basically taking these really gratuitous shots and pulling them back into a place that readers can still digest what's happening without being totally offended by seeing the illustration of it in graphic detail as well. Well, yeah, I guarantee you these are real doilies. He often puts collage into his work. That is almost a guarantee. I disagree. Like, I like that their memory stuff is coming in very simple, sort of much different tonalities, right? Brighter, and then she kind of offsets that with these crazy reality kind of pictures that she's having, these like ghostly reality stuff. It's like although I love the splash page, and this splash page right here, that is a creepy splash page, man. This whole thing, like, this is obviously some big main sleeping area for the inmates in this asylum or whatever, where they're all being, left together to sleep. And it's just creepy, right? And it does work with the, simplistic drawings for childhood stuff, even though they're still simplistic when she's getting older, right? It's a memory. She's not trying to kind of grasp what's going on around her, so it can be very simple. There are some very violent shots, like, you can see him like killing that guy, pulling his throat out and stuff. He gets very real, very creepy with his realism stuff. Definitely likes blood. Cincovich isn't afraid of blood or anything like that. And yeah, the Beast, he is a money shot, man. He's a great. Let's show that again. Tons of weird stuff. Just like little things like up here in the corner, that cat and mouth, because her papa had nicknamed her the Cheshire Cat, and so that little image keeps kind of flowing back and forth. He grabs a bunch of stuff from Miller directly, like this whole multi panel stuff like that. That's Miller all over the place in his illustrations. Cincovich generally doesn't do that, so I think he kind of did it just because he's working with Miller here, right? I'm sure Miller had a lot of pull as to yay or nay about the different illustrations and whatnot. It's, along with the editors, they're not going to let too much go crazy on there. Yeah, and every time we get to that reality, that insane asylum reality, it's always that dark, gray tones, sepia tones, right? Her memories have these bright sort of flashes to them, but the whole tone of the book goes from being really bright flashes at starting to having her come out into the reality, right? Like we start out with that nice seascape, and we end with basically, you know, trying not to wreck my book too much because the line is in really nice condition, so just trying to do it. But anyways, yeah, we start ending with like much more of a horror comic theme, right? So that's kind of cool instead of going, you know, the other way around, where we generally see, you know, dark stuff going on, and then a villain is or a hero is triumphant, and everything kind of gets lighter in color. This one kind of goes backwards in a lot of ways, backwards in the understanding, backwards and stuff. I don't think I could have kept going with this story. I think Cincovich's art helps me to understand a lot more what's going on by using that whole, you know, brightness for these weird memories, these gray, gross tones for what's actually happening around her, and those tones just start coming in more and more and more as you move with the story, just like her memories coming back, just like Miller's writing it, Cincovich is following with the art. He's telling a story in this book as much as Miller is. I think he does a better job of it personally, but you know, he has to follow along with the story the illustrator does. I gave the illustrations in this book a 4. I really liked the illustrations in this book, especially like that splash page, how creepy it was and stuff. I like that very, very violent story handled very well artistically by Cincovich. That fine art style, it does, like, it was such a unique thing in 1986. Like now we see it, you know, there's lots of different artists that are doing that kind of thing. Pops up quite a bit. Back then it was pretty unique. So I liked it. I like Cincovich's illustrations in there. And yeah, 4.
All right. Solid analysis from Dave. Yeah, I think you're right. Even I was giving him guff on the modern memories, maybe looking for a little more detail, but you're right. It's still a memory, which is always fuzzy. So maybe I was a little hard on old Bill for that. Yeah, I could have easily given it a 4. Well done, Miracle. The G-Ninja. And now we have a katana in effect. So now it's getting...
Man, you get armed.
What did you think of... you know, you had a samurai origin. What did you think of Elektra's ninja origin?
Well, quite the interesting rendition, artistically speaking. And let me preface all this by saying I do not care for this art style in comics. I don't like, for every Francis Bacon or Matisse, you got some hack impressionist or expressionist, or whatever you want to call them, depending on what week or art college you go to, that's just, you know, putting pastels everywhere and calling it art, you know. But all that aside, even though I don't like this type of art in comics, this thing looks incredible inside. And there is no denying this guy has got some serious talent. When he gets down to a more standard style, look at this. This is the best eye shot I might have ever seen. That is an actual person right there, it looks like. And all the sepia tone and blue tone stuff, it's just super amazing. And I use that kind of like hyphenated word. It is very Ring inspired. I wonder if the Ring took some inspiration from this, or Genji, whatever it was called in the original. But man, this art captures the fractured feel of this book perfectly, I think, with the ultra stylized and kid-like memories. When those memories surface, rendered, it's all on one page. You can see this right here. You got the childhood memories down here, and then you got, it's the only normal panels in this whole book are her in the college scenes, like 2 or 3 panels with Daredevil. All the other ones are stylized one way or the other. Then you got the stark, bleak reality of where she maybe currently is in the asylum or torture chamber or CIA headquarters, wherever it is she's supposed to be. Amazing. Just I don't know how to describe how good some of this stuff is. This is the money shot panel for me. As creepy as it is, it's like either it's a Weapon X program here, or it is an asylum with absolutely no rules, or it's like a co-ed fever dream of Frank's or Bill Sink here. I don't know, but like these super pastel ones, I'm not a huge fan of. But once again, they look good, and they're there for a reason. and it's pretty consistent. Like all the scenes of her training and upbringing as a ninja, they're all done like this. It's very, very regimented. And all of the, as I was saying earlier, the asylum memories or current day, they're all drawn the same, and vice versa. They're all like the same way. So I can dig that. So it's not slapdash. It's not haphazard. Some of the backgrounds are a little bit sparse, but, you know, I can look past that. Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't really crazy about the animal fight there. That one a little too impressionistic on me. And turtle and rat, I must have missed the symbolism there, unless it's having to do with the Chinese zodiac or something. But I remember a turtle being in there. But yeah, panels like this, man. Jeez, does that not look insane? That's what Joker is always trying for. And notice, I think not too long after they started drawing Joker when he's smiling with one dilated pupil. And I don't know, maybe they got its start here. I don't know, whatever the case may be. And once again, something else, a trope he didn't fall into was this is a very violent book. But there's not a ton of red. There's not a lot of blood splatter. There's just the accent thing, but it's not just covering whole pages like you think it might. Really impressive stuff. Yeah, it's almost like a big watercolor in some of these. I don't know how he did it. And he's got the clan over here for some reason in the top corner. Yeah, big money shot here with Stalin and the Beast. Looks kind of like the Minotaur from Greek mythology there. And I don't know what to say. Don't care for this type of art, but man, this art isn't. Look at this, man. These shadow ninjas here, and it's probably in just her mind over there. The floating lips, such an artistic piece here, and it's not even just art for art's sake. I think he just had great control over what he was doing, as long as it went along with the story and somewhat. So he could really kind of flex his wings a little bit and fly. Great multi panels there. Yeah, it's a testament to how good this art. I love this shot there too, the overhead shot. But anyway, it's enough of me about that. I think it's a testament to the artist, Big Bill himself, that I could enjoy the visuals, even though I cannot stand that art style for the most part. So I give it 4-5. I think it was super effective in what it was going for. I think it perfectly encapsulated this type of book, this type of story. And even though I don't care for it, I know good craftsmanship when I see it. And this is a very well drawn comic book. So 4.5.
There you go. Good.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Right.
Yeah. Sorry,
G-
I want to interrupt you. Go.
G Ninja laying it down. Very nice analysis. He liked.
Analysis. Great analysis.
I'm going to prompt the chat to grade this art.
I don't think any of us agreed on the exact grade on this.
No.
Right.
Still not too far. Only a 1.5 off the lowest. So
True.
Where did you land again, Roger?
he had a
3.
3.
Great art, but it just didn't do it for me. Didn't make the story enough. It didn't contract the story in such a way that I could enjoy it more based on the chaotic writing. Chaotic art and chaotic writing to me is it's way too out there. Again, old fogey speaking here, so maybe I'm off, but to me it just needed to be a little tighter.
I don't know. It's one of those things, like Dave was saying. It's hard to do right, and I think Bill Cincovich nails it like 99% of the time. He nailed it. Like you look at a guy like Keith Griffin, I don't like his stuff. It's sort of in that same line, but I don't think he does it right. Not like Bill Cincovich does.
One thing you nailed, Miracle, is that the art really like super helps you understand the story. Like the way, since it's like fever dream, past, present, the way he lays out that art, very intentional, like really helps you grasp what's going on from such a wild story, no doubt.
Yeah, he's a good artist, man. He's like much more than a comic book artist. He does album covers and movie posters, and he's designed characters for television shows. He's been nominated for Emmys for that kind of stuff, and he's won Hugo Awards and Nebula Awards and Saturn Awards, and he's good, right?
And his more traditional art is like top tier, so it's not like that's his one trick. He's
good.
Really,
He's good.
Yeah.
His covers, I think, are phenomenal. I mean, I'm a big fan of his covers, honestly.
Yeah,
Just-
all those New Mutants covers were some pretty awesome.
and
stuff.
Dazzler
Same
and
Moon
the
Knight.
New Knights. I mean, he does really good covers, and that's where I think he shines, because that kind of art, sort of like when you have it in a cover, it's sort of exploratory. Like, what is going on? You know, what is he trying to relate? But I don't want that kind of confusion in my story.
Goddamn whippersnappers. Tell the story right.
In my day, a stick figure
Yeah.
was a prize winner at the fair.
That's right. Comic books are for regular stories, not fancy stories.
I hope you have the AC on in your room, Gino. I think I would be
Yeah, man, I
sweating
was
with
thinking
that.
he's
That mask.
G Ninja feels the elements not. It's my training.
You're trading,
I'm
yeah.
impervious to such things now. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think this story would have worked even half as well as it did without that art, because the art told more of a story than the story did, if you ask
Yeah,
me.
Yeah.
But in fact, this would have been a
Yeah.
pretty cool book to read with no dialogue, just to try to extrapolate it yourself. I think that'd been a kind of interesting look at it, you know?
Yeah. See, I really felt it's funny how you were saying, Miracle, that like Cincovich like matching Miller's. I felt like it was a little reversed. I'd be curious to see. You know, I don't know who's right, but I'd be curious to hear the story of like the creation of this book.
I know that his art fit very well with this whole coming out of this insane stupor stuff, right? This chaotic sort of thing. I'd be more interested. Like, obviously, she's coming out of it. She's got to come back to reality for the rest of the story, to see how he handles the really real world. Through the rest of this thing, right?
Yeah, I haven't got to the next issues yet. This is definitely gonna prompt me to do that.
Yeah. It gets. This is my favorite written one of the series.
So let's,
For me, the rest of the series goes way the fuck off the rails, man. I do not like this limited series.
It's pretty 80s nuts, you know. If you have to have that 80s mentality with, you know, the mutually assured destruction and the Cold War, you know, that
part didn't bother me. That was a little tropish, but I mean,
yeah.
I think he was just trying to, like, I don't know, like, you know, escape from New York. He keeps putting in all these little quips, but he's not very good at it. He's putting in all these tropes from every single action movie. Like, I'm not just talking this issue, I'm talking like the overall series. And then these really stupid little jokes that he puts all through this thing that I'm sure he thinks are hilarious, and they're not. They're not at all. And Kenny said this before. Comic book writers are not comedy writers, and they shouldn't try and freaking write comedy stuff.
True.
Yeah, I remember, like, I've read this, and I know I did not like it. I was like, this was not one of Miller. I don't know. Miller didn't do a whole lot of great stuff after Sin City. I don't know.
Well, we're
What's
fixing to
the
have
score
a
there, Vito?
we're getting fixing to have a mini McFarlane rant here. Or what we got going on? I'm just doing up the recording software. Hold on. We actually chat, and it's great taste. Came in with a 4.5 as well. So good chat.
Everybody liked
Ninja
it.
approves.
Excellent.
Like I said, I can appreciate well-crafted art even if I don't like it. You know,
Yeah.
you can tell he's not a hack. At least you can tell that much.
yes,
Some people can fake it in that style, but
that's for sure.
Definitely not. A
And
lot
there's
of
still
fun.
those guys out there. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna hit the concept. I will start off the concept, and basically, as far as conceptually, I'll touch on the Epic Comics line aspect of the concept. I like that Epic existed. I wish it still did. Honestly, I think, to my knowledge, I don't think Marvel really has its Vertigo. You know, well, R.I.P. Vertigo, but for a while that stood strong with DC, or now Black Label, I guess, would be DC's Black Dark Horse. I'm sorry, Vertigo. But Marvel needs, you know, they're missing that edge. They could use an Epic line, and I think it's cool to distinguish the brand like that. Because you don't want necessarily this sitting right next to, you know, your Amazing Spider-Man stories or whatever. you might want to distinguish it as something different. So that's great. The only epic stuff I was really familiar with was, of course, the Silver Surfer, Parable, Mobius was a big fave. I've always heard rave reviews about Dreadstar. I haven't read it yet. And the Epic magazine was always awesome. So concept-wise, Epic as a whole was great. High marks for that. The concept of doing an 8-issue miniseries, which I think scientifically proven to be the sweet spot number for a miniseries. I think 8 is perfect for to tell a story. 12 drags on too long, and 4 or 6 doesn't give you enough to really air it out. So good choice to make it an 8-issue series. And as far as like the team up of Cincovich and Miller, I mean, if you're gonna go epic, adult-oriented, dark, mature audience, Miller and Cincovich seem like a pretty sweet duo as far as that goes. And just to let Bill run wild like this is pretty cool. So conceptually, I mean, high marks for me. I think this is well executed. Shit, man, I don't see why I wouldn't give it a 4.5, man. What's the flaw in the concept? I don't know. I like it, so I give it 4.5. Back to Miracle.
All right, concept.
Yes, I don't know if I've been seeing you doodling this episode.
No, I didn't do a drawing this episode.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh.
That was
Maybe you could do a quick impressionist Bill S. ripoff in like 10 seconds. Do some screw.
Black on it.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I just wasn't up for it today.
No worries.
Next time, I promise. Next time we'll do one. All right. So, concept of this book. First off, I really like the fact that Miller didn't try and like resurrect her into something, right? That he told this character was already dead from, Daredevil 181. 181? Yeah, 181. And he didn't try and bring her back. He told a past story, a prequel to whatever happened going on into the Daredevil books, right? So, and it gave us a lot of backstory for Elektra, something that he wanted to flesh out more for this character, right? So glad that he didn't, try and do we'll just bring her back to life and tell a whole nother story in regular continuity, that he took this as her back origin story, right? What else? Yeah, art really, putting these two together, like Kenny was saying, couldn't have picked a better duo, right? Miller's chaotic writing, Cincovich's chaotic artistic style, they really lended to one another. It's too bad the story just wasn't a little bit better, and I think this could have been like an ultra classic, right? I think this probably would have hit the bins or the garbage bins if it wasn't for Cincovich, right? I don't think Miller's story is going to stand up over this 8 issues. 8 issues is a great number. I do like the 12-issue series myself. I like to go a whole year. Otherwise, I do like the 4. I think, short, sweet, let's do this. Some of those 4 series, turn into year-long, multi-year-long runs, i.e. the Transformers, one in a 158-issue series or whatever it ended up being. Yeah, I don't know. Too tropish for me. The writing was too tropish. The art really brought it in for me, but yeah, the concept of this book, I thought it was pretty good. I gave the concept of 3.5, right? Good character. Glad she didn't get resurrected. Good duo between artist and writer, and yeah, it was cool. She's a cool character. I'd like to, I would have liked to have learned a lot more about her backstory.
All right.
It's not quite the way it goes. It goes into her backstory in this issue, and then we carry on really. But yeah, 3.5.
Very nice.
Ninja
What
Boy.
say the ninja? Oh, that's a cool background, right?
Are you muted?
Well, G Ninja has a few opinions on this, and I actually was going to bring some of this up in the art, but I got so carried away with my rantings that I forgot to do so. But let's talk about the concept just a little bit here. Okay, you take a character you can do anything in the world you want with, basically. give her an origin story because nothing you're gonna do really is gonna affect it in the now. So gives you a lot of artistic freedom. They put two pretty creative guys on the project, whether you like them or hate them. There's probably not too many people you can actually see working on this together so well, probably, and for what it turned out to be. It's nothing revolutionary, but it is a very, what's the word I'm looking for, mature take on an origin story for a character. You know, Luke Cage had a pretty brutal origin story, but it was done in a very saccharine way, in the regular Marvel way. Well, this was done in Epic. So Epic had some pretty wacky series, some of my favorite series, including the Hellraiser series, which they did. And I knew some of the art looked familiar, and Big Sync actually did quite a bit of the interior work on some of these. And when you see stuff like this, you know he's the man for this job, right? I mean, this guy is out there. He is out there. And when you got a story like this, you gotta match it up right. And they actually did some justice to it. She wasn't like a high tier character or anything like that. She's probably C or on her best day a B level character. So I mean, the interest wasn't super high. They were coming off of like the Secret Wars kind of resurgence of sales in comics, so they were really on the uptick now of what they could release and still sell a lot of. So in that is interesting that they put this much, I'm sure, this much money into a project of this for a character who was really not all that well known anyway. It does speak volumes for the concept that they had here for this little project. So I can dig it. As far as the end product, it had a catchy cover, or somewhat at least cover that would make you look twice on the spinner rack if it was on the spinner rack, but not Epic books, but you know what I mean. Had a very mature, eclectic story, we'll just call it that, on the inside. Had a very striking visual style, and all those things together into kind of a maxi series there. I don't know, probably a good idea. I'm not sure. They would probably, I don't know if they had any cameos or anything later on or whatever, but maybe a Daredevil cameo would have been a little bit better to help push the sales of this thing. But it's hard to argue. It's a good concept. I gave it 3.5. They could have made it cheesy. They could have made it bad. And like Dave was saying, they could have resurrected her, which would have been really horrible. It's like, let some characters die. You know, then it actually doesn't mean you can't keep writing about them in the future. You can write origin stories. You can write past stories. You can do alternate universe stuff with her. But, you know, leave her dead in the main storyline and do some respect to the character herself by doing a story like this. So all that being said, I gave it a 3.5. I think it was a pretty strong concept. Nothing revolutionary, but I think they had a definitive vision when they went in this thing, and I think they hired the right crew to do it, and they gave them the carte blanche to do it, and they actually put it on the right publisher to get it done mostly right. So 3.5, pretty strong.
All right. If he dies, he dies, says Genome Drago.
He dies. He dies.
Letterog, what do you think of this concept, man?
You know, this is the highest grade for me, is the concept here. And I mean, again, when we look at these different categories, in my mind, I have to separate my dislikes from the actual impact and the actual strategies they had behind this particular issue. And to me, this was a pretty high-end concept. You have to remember, this is the mid-'80s. This issue and this series, we had never seen anything like it. Nothing like this, especially not at Marvel. Maybe there was Underground, or there was, fringe publishers that had edgier characters and storylines and art. But this was something that I remember at the time people talking about it, because it was totally a novel way of portraying a inline or an in continuity Marvel character out of continuity. So in that sense, I give them high marks for their originality, their courage, and honestly, their chutzpah to do this. Because remember, although this didn't come through the newsstands, this is the mid '80s. Still, a lot of kids would pick this up, and if a parents got through it and read it, they might be upset about it. So there were some warnings, like for mature readers. And I remember in the comic shop, if there was a little kid, they wanted your parent to be there and okay it and all that stuff. So, and also, I think this was more expensive than the regular comics. I think it was $1.50 versus the comics at the time were 75 or so, because I think there were less ads or maybe no ads. So from that angle, Marvel giving carte blanche to Miller and Cincovich, not carte blanche, but pretty much, as long as it wasn't something which was, like that incestual rape scene, if that was artistically portrayed as such, that would not fly, obviously. That would get the publisher amazing hot water. So they did it in a very subliminal way, but yet very impactful. So to me, brilliant concept all the way through. 8 issues, 6 issues, 12 issues, whatever issues you want to say. The fact that they got this out and they put it in such a way that it did not affect continuity, and they could sort of have a way of denying anything that happened if they didn't want to go that way, is kind of playing, both sides of the extremes, and yet still having the option of changing it altogether. So my highest grade was the concept. I gave it a 4. I thought it was really, really well done, well thought out. I didn't enjoy it as much as you guys, but I recognized that this was something that at the time was very groundbreaking and very brave.
Well said from Roger.
There you go.
Man. I love it. I dig it. Dig all your takes. Let's keep it right here and let's lightning round our overall thoughts on this book. I think we've covered our takes on it pretty well, but let's see how it hit with us. The sum of the parts, as they say. What's the sum of the parts grade? And
chat grade.
Oh yeah, concept. Yeah, I guess you know what? Chat, throw your concept grade in while we start our summation overall grades. I think we can jive that.
Yeah, that's a good idea, man.
Yeah, they'll pop the comments in while we go over our overall thoughts, and I'll start it where we began, right, Mr. Miracle? What's the overall number on this baby?
I liked it. I know what's coming up though, and I know it gets a lot worse, and I can't get it out of my head. You know what I mean? I can't. I can't recommend this series to anybody, just because the writing gets really stupid after a little bit, and I know it is. The art stays pretty good through the whole thing. I've always liked Cincovich's stuff, but yeah, overall, probably only give this book a 2.5. All the minus points come from Miller, right? And yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. I especially would not recommend the entire series. Like if I were you, Kenny, about worrying about your last 3 issues, I wouldn't worry too much about it. You might not make it that far if you started reading it. Anyway,
2.5. Eh?
2.5. Yeah.
Well, out of respect, let's drop that overall serviceable grade.
There you go.
Trust
me, this is the best issue of the bunch.
Got it. What do you think, Genome? You had some higher grades, some lower grades. Where did it all land for you, man?
Well, is this book a sum of its parts? Yes and no. Let me go ahead and get some scores, and I'll give my quick overall on this. For the cover, I gave it 3.5. It stood out. It was well crafted. Maybe not the most exciting thing in the world, but it was a good posing shot. Ridiculous in some ways, but kind of cool. 3.5. For the story, I gave it a 3. Fractured. It was an interesting take on psychosis and madness, and what can be done through abuse, over your entire life. What can a person really turn into? But it was really all over the place, and it just kind of I read comics usually for a sense of joy, and I didn't get any joy out of that. So I gave it a 3. For the interior art, I gave it a 4.5. It is not my art style in the slightest as far as comics goes, but I think it was amazingly crafted and done and totally fit the motif so well. So I gave that a 4. Totally. What am I, a Valley Ninja now? Look at me. And for the concept, I gave it a 3.5. It was a pretty cool thing to do. It's almost like a what if. They could have probably done this into a what if issue and been done with it. But it's kind of cool. You take a dead character that was kind of a C-lister. You throw a couple of A-list talents on it in a quick maxi series and go to the races. Do what you want to do with her. Here's the keys to the castle. So 3.5.
What if Elektra took acid?
What if she took acid or Milk Plus? But so I gave that 3.5. My overall score for this book mathematically says a 3.5. I wouldn't go that high with this. I'll go with 3. And this book is not really a sum of its parts because I don't take any joy in this book. I mean, it's cool. It's an interesting concept. It's a highbrow kind of book, but just because you have violent overtones or undertones and edgy art doesn't make it highbrow. It's just violent overtones and edgy art. So I don't get blinded by such things. I don't know if I'll ever read this book again, to be honest with you. And I will read Cap Wolf any day before I read this book again. I'll read Secret Wars 2 any day before I probably read this book again. And that's telling about what I think about the book, because at the end of the day, it's an entertainment medium. And if I wasn't really entertained by it, I was impressed by certain aspects of it, but it just wasn't great. It's like watching an auteur film or something. It's just, yeah, wow, it's great in the art house and the coffee shops where everyone snaps, but I didn't enjoy it. I'm not that pretentious. So I give it a 3 just because I think the craftsmanship is very good. I just didn't find it that enjoyable product. I really wouldn't recommend it to highly anybody, but it was an interesting book and I was kind of surprised by it. It was different than I thought it was going to be. So give it a 3 overall.
You got a 3?
Wasn't entertained. That was good. That's a good statement.
Yeah.
I was totally not entertained.
Mr. Metaron, your overall thoughts on this book?
Yeah, I'm pretty much in the same boat as the 90210 Ninja there. I put it as a 3. I don't want to work this hard at trying to ascertain what a comic is about. I mean, that would be the biggest critique I would have of this particular issue. And I know what Miracle's talking about. Later on, it gets very weird, believe it or not, weirder, and very fantastic. So I'm trying to excise what my knowledge of what happens afterwards, right? So I'm trying to just grade this issue and give you the overall. But to me, it's like Genome, I think, hit it on the nose. It's not holistic here. This is not a holistic issue. It's not better than the sum of its parts. It's worse in a sense, because if you take the elements, if I take the writing and I put it and I look at it from a certain perspective, I take the art and look at it from a certain perspective, I take the concept for a certain perspective, it may actually be better, to go in other inroads. But when you put all these things together, he's right. I did not enjoy this. I was put off by it in a sense, disturbed by it. I was intrigued in some kind of, maybe visceral way about what was going on and what eventually is going to conclude here. But, I don't think that is what when I do this show, I really wanted to enjoy something and to sort of give people a perspective about whether they will enjoy it, right? And to me, no, this is not enjoyable in the least. It's disturbing, it's chaotic, it's jumbled. If you like to have this kind of mental gymnastics in your comics, go for it. But if you just want to be to read and enjoyable and have a little bit of an escapism, this hits too much into the psychosis that I want to get away from, not into. But that being said, Geno's on the nose. I mean, you have to give talent their due. But the concept, great, but the actual execution of it to me was not comic booky. It was more of a horror movie, that really wants to exploit your fears. And it did that to me. So in that sense, it was effective, but that's not what I'm looking for. Overall, I give it a 3, though.
All right. 3 from Raj.
You guys all gave it higher marks than I did.
By the numbers, I had 4 for the cover and the writing. And I think the writing I enjoyed the writing. I thought that the writing matched the art pretty well, and it didn't bog down too much. So I was okay with it. The inside art, I was teetering between a 3.5 and a 4. And then on the concept, I like when they do mature for the adults in the room kind of stuff. I like my TV shows with a more adult spin. Like I always loved the HBO, Netflix style comic book adaptations over the CW adaptations. I always lean towards that sensibility, and so I like when they throw us a bone with that. It's definitely something that, like, I have a threshold for abstraction and some of this kind of stuff. So if this was run-of-the-mill kind of comic books, yeah, it's probably something I could get jaded with fast, and it would probably wear on me. But when a book like this it's not run-of-the-mill, it's the exception when you come across this. I find it to be a treat, because it is so outside of the norm. So for that, I like it for its uniqueness in that way. And by the numbers, it came to a 4. I'm almost tempted to round up a little bit as a sum of its parts, because I think the adult-oriented concept, the highbrow kind of art style with the writing that is not giving you that much. You do have to work for it. Roger's definitely right. It isn't like a brisk read of like, okay, I know exactly what that means. I'm following the plot clearly. You are working for it a little bit, but I think that is cohesive with the adult concept and the artwork, and like all the aspects of it fit together. If you put this kind of art in an ASM story where he's fighting Green Goblin, you're like, man, this art is really not working for me. Or if you put this kind of writing where you're trying to navigate it with, I don't know, some kind of real action dynamic comic booky Art Adams comic book stuff, you'd be like, what's going on here? Why is but I think it all fits together, So I'm tempted to give it 4.5 as a total piece. It's something that, like I said, I have a threshold for it. It's not, I don't want all my books like this, but I'm glad it exists, and it's a treat, I think, for me to read something like it. But I think I'm just going to stay with a 4 as my overall grade. But I'm tempted, But yeah, I'm glad I read it. Mr. D-Runk, welcome to the show.
Hey, George.
Hey, Doug. Yeah, you guys definitely like this book more than I did.
I hope that, like, I don't know what the future holds, like, as far as the rest of the issues, but I do hope it turns into some kind of revenge action. When you see, like, especially a female character, like, it's all about her trauma this first issue. I hope it's, like, comeuppance, like, retribution. I hope this doesn't stay morbid the whole time. No.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah, I'm going to check it out.
We won't spoil it for you, but it gets crazy. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get a concept overall chat grade, Gino?
I did, and it came out to a 4. They agreed with you there, Kenneth.
All right. Okay.
Jackson. Yeah, they kind of agreed with. They gave it high marks.
Yeah, I mean, see, for the cover, they gave it a 3 or a 3.5. I went with a 3 just because that was the original score. They gave interior art a 4.5. They gave the story a 3.5. They gave the concept a 4. So the overall was a 4.
Nice. And really has it in a 9.8. That's why he's so, on this book.
Keep pushing this book a little harder, then it's going to go up in value. So
that's why those 5s came
This is
from
the key.
Georgia there. Okay.
Chicken or the egg. He has it in 9.8 because he thinks so highly of it. The chat's been on fire tonight. Awesome input from Biggie, Jackson, Russ, Unruly, D coming in the clutch here at the end. Man, I missed this hang. This was great. All you guys, home run takes, just as expected. Fantastic.
We missed you too, buddy. We did quite a bit.
Wasn't the same without you.
Nope.
Appreciate
It's
that.
better.
Yeah, hopefully I'm a little more. I just recently staffed up a little more at work, so hopefully I'm not going to be as shackled with the late nights as I have been. So tough to find good help right now in this COVID environment. It's like every business seems to be dealing with that, and I have in recent months. But we're back in the swing of things, man. Your boy should be free on his evenings, as long as nothing. Well, I should knock on wood.
Unless he's not.
Yeah, right. Let's do some, because we already covered our business of the next issue, right? It is Monarch Star Stalker. I had to remember how to say that.
This will be
Premier
flying
32.
off the eBays like you wouldn't believe.
I'm sure the guy that's
Genome
selling it
has already gotten his buy it now because he knows this is going to be flying off.
It's be flying off the shelves.
This is going to hit.
sure the guy-
Make
Oh,
room for
yeah.
stuff that'll move. Yep.
he's gonna be totally shocked that he actually sold this book. He's like, "Who the hell bought this?"
Yeah. Let's go around with some closing words. Mr. Miracle,
Yo,
any closing words for the chat and upcoming events on your channel?
of course, we will have another undervalued book show tomorrow on my channel. Another 5 undervalued. That's already been filmed. I just got to do a little bit of editing. That's what I got coming up so far. As for the chat, great chat, you guys. Always appreciate everybody showing up and watching, regardless of whose channel we're on. And yeah, don't buy this book.
Genome Presents, from the Genome Presents channel and Genome Gaming YouTube channel. Any parting words or upcoming announcements on what you have going on?
Channel's kind of still in a holding pattern. I still haven't really decided if I'm going to keep going with it or not. I do have a couple things I've been wanting to shoot and do. So, when the bug strikes, you got to fire in. There's a couple of things I wanted to finish up too. But so we'll see. Like I said, I don't know what's going on. It's a definite maybe whether I keep rekindling the channel or not. But I do have that big CGC haul. If I ever get them to grade it, I'd like to have it. It's been like 180 days now or whatever it is. So, but they have it. They've opened the box. So if I'll definitely record that when I do it, because I got 12 books there. But
Wow.
yeah, other than that, it's kind of me just editing and then doing church stuff and work and home projects. So and making vanilla. So other than that, that's a whole lot going on.
Making vanilla.
There you
I
go,
heard
man.
there's a real world shortage on vanilla.
Yeah, it's expensive. It's $1 a bean right now. Actually, more than that. It's like $1.20.
There you go. You can have a little side business.
Well, active channel or not, Genome, we will always have Grader'S notes, brother. Mr. Metarog, contest connoisseur, and Funky Tuesday. Is there an official title to your Cool Tuesday videos that have? It's not like a thematic title to those.
No, I'm not doing the Tuesday ones anymore. I'm doing every other Thursday now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a good programming note. What other programming notes can we keep an eye out for?
Well, tomorrow, let's see. Tomorrow I'll be on Simple Simon's channel at 7:00. All the way from Australia. I'm going to show 5 cool collectibles. That's what he wants. So that's where I'm going to be. And Saturday, I'm going to be on Gray Man's channel for Cover Slingers in the afternoon. So if it's raining out, come over to Gray Man's channel. And then, of course, on Monday, I'm on the No Faces chat. And Bub has got a contest. And he's actually giving away a gift certificate. So for Bub to give away anything is epic, right?
Other than criticism.
Right. Other than the witty repartee. So go ahead and check out the last No Faces chat. See if you can identify all 31 cover boxes, and you too could be a winner.
We love you, Andrew. Don't worry.
You're pretty popular, right?
And You know, and I just want to express that gratitude to the chat that came through and hung out, and my panel members here. I don't have a ton of announcements. You know, with work has been, you know, when I'm struggling to make Grader'S notes, then I'm trying to like be mindful not to bite off more than I can chew and set too many shows that are, you know, that I want to stay accountable to, or guest spots and stuff. So I'm keeping it kind of impromptu. So you might just want to keep an eye out for like when I get to the flea markets on the Sunday hunt day. You know, I'll be liable to fire something up then. So it's a little impromptu at the moment, but I'll always be on Grader'S notes every time that I can, which I think will be every time. And I did just join into the DJ Links rap battle. I'm the reigning rap champion, if you didn't know.
Nice.
And
You're good.
I would say, even if you're not like a rap guy, a rap fan, check it out. I think you might at least get a kick out of the wordplay and the pun.
Boston Ice up there kicking it, man. I like it.
That's a good one.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's wicked awesome.
Check out DJ Link's channel, and he's a good dude too. He's like, I think he's like a relatively newer guy in the community, and he's super positive and welcoming, and it's been cool getting to know him and stuff. So shout out to him. Check out his channel, and that's all for me. So till next time, everyone. This has been Grader'S Notes.
Grader'S Notes. Rules.
Peace out.
Bye-bye.
Guess so there. All I see is the Grader'S notes.
Hello.
Hello.
I think we're still live.
I know. I don't know what Kenny's doing.
I think Kenny left the room. I've done that plenty of times.
I hit the wrong button, but I'm back now.
Oh, he's back.
Bye-bye.
Totally intentional.